Hi, you're watching WION with me, Sana Khan. Over the next half hour, we talk about the transport system in India, the new paradigm shift perhaps that we've seen over the last few years, the metro. We talk about this because two South Indian cities get brand new metros, Kochi and Bengaluru. We ask, is metro the answer to India's urban mess, and what explains India's metro culture? Later on the show, we talk about Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister's statement in the Assembly today, where she says talks are the only way forward to resolve the ongoing crisis in the valley. But first, it's been a big day for two megacities in India. The Prime Minister inaugurated the first phase of the Kochi Metro, and President Pranab Mukherjee also was part of the celebrations as the first phase of the Namma Metro in Bengaluru was inaugurated. The Prime Minister took a ride on the new line in Kochi. The rail link is just 13 kilometers long for now, but marks a big urban planning leap for the coastal city. The metro project combines rail, road and water transport facilities, and the work was completed in record time. It is also the first urban project where 25% of the electricity needs would be met from solar power. It's a big day in Bengaluru as well. After years of delay, residents of Bengaluru are now getting to ride the Namma Metro. The 42-kilometer-long line connects the southern part of the city with the east and north. For the traffic-choked city, this section is expected to reduce travel time for nearly 5 lakh commuters every day. Similar projects are in the works in many other Indian cities as well. So is metro the answer to India's urban mess? What are the other options that Indian urban planners are looking at as population booms and pollution chokes our cities? We will be talking about this in just a bit, but those visuals from earlier today, a big leap really for these two cities. Bengaluru, which is known to be choked with traffic on its roads day in and day out, even on the weekends. Bengaluru Metro was in the offing for years now. It's been complete. The residents of the city can enjoy the benefits by cutting their travel time by maybe even hours in Bengaluru. In Kochi, as we pointed out, a big leap for the coastal city. The Prime Minister himself there at the inauguration of the metro line, though it's just 13 kilometers long in the first phase there, but nonetheless it will open up doors for even other cities who are looking at the metro, welcoming the metro, like Varanasi, Vijayawada, Vizag, Bhopal, Pune and Chandigarh. Now we will be contrasting it with what we've seen in the West as well. China, a metro is coming up as well in 2017. We're hearing 6 cities there will inaugurate their metros. Pakistan's first metro system is likely to start operations in Lahore this year as well. Let's listen to what Prime Minister Modi said, in fact, earlier today at the inauguration.
The Union government has so far released over 2,000 crore rupees for Kochi Metro. The phase being inaugurated today will operate from Alwa to Palarivattam. It will cover 13.226 kilometers and 11 stations. This metro project has several significant features. It is the first metro project to be commissioned with a modern signaling system called the communication-based train control signaling system. The coaches reflect the Make in India vision. They have been built by Alstom of France at their factory near Chennai and have an Indian component of around 70%. The Kochi Metro integrates the city's entire public transportation network into a single system. This system will have a common timetable, common ticketing, and centralized command and control.
All right, let's in fact talk a bit more about the unique features of the metro in Kochi. Well, it's, as we pointed out, a 13-kilometer stretch in the phase 1. It will have 11 stations, and the commuting time between the first and the last station will be 25 minutes. And this is a total of 25-kilometer stretch that is being looked at. This will have all solar panels, and 25% of its electricity needs, the Kochi Metro plans, will be met from these solar panels. In fact, joining me right now for more on this is Professor Pradeep Sarkar. He is the head of transport planning at the School of Planning and Architecture. He joins me live from Delhi. Thanks so much, Professor Sarkar, for joining us here on WION. I want to start by asking you, we've seen how metro has come up in the country across various cities. Many more cities plan to have their own metro system, but with Kochi and Bengaluru, how do you see this in the bigger picture? Do you think it is the answer to India's urban mess?
I think that the way the urbanization is going on at a rapid pace, and it is extremely difficult to cope up with the demand by the other conventional transport systems. So in order to carry a large number of passengers, with a corridor demand more than 30,000 per hour per direction, I think the metro would be one of the best answer.
Okay, and do you think that metro is the only answer? What other kinds of transport systems would you suggest, sir, at this point in time with a rising population? We understand that now China, which has a highest ridership, followed by India, of course. It has 3.66 billion people using the metro each year, but still, we see traffic on the roads. What do you think, what more needs to be done? Is it just metro, or maybe coupled with other more such systems?
You see, metro can be considered as a principal mode of transport, but particularly if you have to have a wider network, you got to develop the connectivity with respect to feeder services. Feeder services could be light rail transit, could be buses, could be electric buses, and this will be monorail. There could be a number of forms of transport systems which can be thought of. But only thing that we have got to see the demand in the corridor and demand in the total network. Depending on the demand, travel demand, we can take the appropriate decision to go for what kind of other form of transport systems would need to be considered, along with the principal mode of your metro systems. So,
right.
So therefore, this will come from the detailed feasibility study.
Right. So in India, where if we talk about the metro system, we still have many more kilometers, so to speak, to cover. Whereas in other countries in the West, you have many more metro stations. The accessibility is also a big factor. Even though we are trying to increase the network, it's still not there yet. Do you think that that is something that can be planned now at this stage? We tried, for instance, the BRT corridor, which failed, and we had to do away with it.
You said very rightly that whenever you develop a metro cannot be developed alone. As I said, that we have got to see the demand of the total network, and this will come from a detailed transportation studies or comprehensive mobility studies. Accordingly designed how the last mile connectivity need to be ensured. So therefore, question of last mile connectivity comes, and there could be many forms of transport systems which could be a part of last mile connectivity. So therefore, you got to see how the network and what kind of transport systems prevailing right now, and also got to see the economic factors, the socio-economic fabric of the society. So all this comes into play in deciding the total transport systems, including principal mode, that is metro, and feeder modes could be buses, could be trams, could be light rail transit, could be monorail, could be even if you go to the lower order, you will find perhaps cycle rickshaw, perhaps, or it will be better if you have a good connectivity with non-motorized transport, for bicycle, what you call the cycle. I have seen many parts of the world that there is a cycle stand also is attached along the metro stations. So therefore, you have to see what is the socio-economic fabric to the society and what is kind of demand, what is going to be the economic criteria, and finally, of course, metro is a very costly proposition. one cannot think metro just like that. So therefore, and if you also have to think whether it is going to be at grade metro, elevated metro or underground metro. When you consider the underground metro, you will find cost goes up enormously high. It could as much as 350 crores per kilometer, as compared to the at grade metro, which comes to be less than 100 crores per kilometer. So a lot of parameters comes into play in deciding the system. But as you say very rightly, last mile connectivity is very important. Without last mile connectivity, the purpose of developing a transport system, sustainable transport system, would be futile.
Right. Professor Sarkar, do stay with me. I'm going to try and play out some graphics and also bring about a contrast in our transport system between the railways that we have in India and the metro system. You know, the experience is very, very different from point of view of a person who takes a metro or a train here for commuting. Now, it's a massive network as far as the rail network. It requires massive cleanliness as well. I'm going to try and give our viewers a perspective on that. Just last year, for instance, the government had spent 315 crore rupees on cleanliness on the railways. Bio toilets were installed as well. Whereas, you know, if you look at the metro, everyone is frisked at entry. The security is more enhanced. CCTV cameras are there to keep a watch. Food, in fact, is also not allowed in the coaches, and passengers don't linger on at the stations. The coaches are designed where the seats are attached to the coach walls, making it cleaner and easier. As many as 20 to 25 housekeeping staff are posted at each station. There are no toilets on board, no spitting or littering is allowed, and the entire station is a non-smoking zone. So, Professor Sarkar, when we talk about the culture, you know, long way to go, really, because the metro, we see a very different sort of a culture when a person enters the metro. It's not so similar when you go to a railway station, though, you know, many people laud the present government for making the railways better as an experience for the commuter.
You want me to react on your statement?
Yes, absolutely, Professor. Yeah.
Yeah. As you say very rightly, metro is altogether a different kind, which you cannot be really compare with other form of commuter rail. So, and I have seen all over the world, metro has a defined as entity as such. You have got to maintain discipline, you have got to maintain the cleanliness. Lot of factors comes. I have seen whenever you get into metro, whoever maybe he also understands that I have to make use of the metro. I have to be disciplined. I have to be. I have to take the things as has been described. So therefore, I find the culture also altogether gets changed in the light of what metro is planning to envisage. So, and if you go to Kolkata Metro, you will find when I get into the Kolkata Metro, I find it's a different ball game. People try to appreciate the culture in terms of kind of art exhibited on the wall of the metro stations, some music coming onto the metro station that gives a total, what you call, a conducive environment. Even if you don't like to make use of the metro immediately, you don't mind listening music and looking at the art. So you have got to bring that kind of culture to see that it is attractive, so that you can have higher level of patronage. So and therefore I think the metro will be the backbone and pillar of sustainable transport systems in the time to come.
All right, Professor Sarkar, appreciate you joining us here and sharing your thoughts, giving us a perspective. And as you said, the metro is a very important pillar as far as our transport system is concerned. And you went on to say it is going to be the backbone of the system. Once again, thanks so much for joining us here. With that, we're going to be taking a very short break. After that, we're going to be talking about the very latest situation unfolding in Jammu and Kashmir. We'll be talking about what the Chief Minister has said today in the State Assembly. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.